Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Just give us a few minutes. We'll wait for a few more participants to come in and then we'll start the webinar. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Please put them in the Q&A box. It's easy for us to answer questions from there. I can see someone's raising a hand. If it's possible to put your question in the Q&A box, it will be easier. We can't unmute you. So please do feel free to put it in the Q&A box, not in the chat. So thank you everyone for joining. I have with me Dr. Pramath Raj Sinha. He's the founding dean of IST and currently the dean of the Harappa School of Leadership. The Harappa School of Leadership runs one program currently, which is the Accelerated Management Program, and we are in the middle of planning a few more. But the Accelerated Management Program, or AMP as it's called, is really a fast-track management certificate, really to sort of help you to decide about new age careers, to understand many new things that are happening, improve your collaboration, and largely also depends or relies a lot on leadership skills, which is what we believe is a forte. And we spend a lot of time through this program helping you to sort of develop your leadership skills. So Pramath, thank you and welcome. I know the topic today was interesting, and this is something that I've been meaning to also, talk to you about in greater detail. Knowing that you have been the founder of one of the top universities, management schools in the country, and now AMP. But first, anything that you'd like to sort of tell us? I believe you've just come back from a long travel.
Yes, I just came back from 3 weeks traveling in the US. So I'm a little bit jet lagged, but I'm doing okay. And I'm looking forward to the discussion.
All right. Thank you. So Pramath, let's start straight off. Management is a very, very sort of important, next step for many people, after a management degree or a management program. After their graduation, sometimes people go into it after a few years of work. Sometimes they immediately go into it. But really, what is the purpose of a management program? What do you feel is the need that people sort of feel that they need to do this, an MBA or a management program?
So Seema, I would say 3 things. First, a lot of careers in the corporate world over a period of time, as you start gaining in experience and tenure, give you more and more and greater responsibility, where you end up having to manage people, manage a function, manage things on a larger scale, and also manage things that go beyond your immediate function. You need to understand how the rest of the organization operates. You can't just be an individual contributor. You can't just look at your own function. So to understand how to engage and how to contribute and how to perform in that greater and greater setting, if you have a more holistic perspective of how a business operates, then you progress faster. So people who have general management skills, people who have a more overall managerial perspective, are able to progress faster than people who are in specialist roles. That is mostly the case. Or at least you hit a glass ceiling somewhere. And some people are able to break through that glass ceiling by virtue of the experience they build around broader management skills. But one reason to therefore do an MBA or get a management degree or a certification is to broaden your skills so that you're able to graduate to higher and higher and greater roles faster and progress and achieve career success much faster. That's number one. Number two, people often, so there's a skill and a learning element. of learning managerial skills and of course leadership skills, because if you have managerial skills and you in addition have leadership skills, then that prepares you for even a faster and a longer career path. The second reason is that people often want to shift disciplines. They want to go from whatever they are doing to another discipline. They want to go into another industry. They want to move into marketing from sales, or marketing from finance, or strategy from finance, or they want to move from automobiles to green sector, or from banking to investments. Now, to make those shifts, you need to show something. You need to be able to demonstrate that you are worth more than your past experience, that you have the skills to succeed in a new field, in a new industry, in a new sector, in a new function. And again, the MBA degree or the management degree allows you to make that shift. People increasingly use the word pivot to describe these shifts. So the management program is really the only program that makes you pivot. Most other programs make you specialize. They don't help you make a change. They only teach you a new skill that can make you more skilled at something. This allows you to get out of what you're doing and move into a whole new field altogether. Other programs also do that, but they specialize you further. I mean, you want to become a data scientist or a digital marketer, you take courses in that, but that makes you a digital marketer and a data scientist. It specializes you further. Doesn't solve for the first part of what I was saying. So this is the second reason why people would like to do an MBA or a management degree or a certification. And the final thing is that it also helps you build a unique cohort, a unique set of relationships through a unique cohort. The management degree and management certificates are the only one where you work with people from very, very different walks of life. You typically go for a master's program or for anything postgraduate, then you'll find the same people who are studying the same subject coming into your program, right? If you did a master's in economics, you only meet people who are studying economics. If you did a master's in sociology or computer science, you'll have only people from that discipline because they're all specializing. Whereas in an MBA or a management degree, you build a set of relationships with people who come from very, very different backgrounds. And these relationships end up being a lifelong kind of relationship and pool, because these people are all sharing this anxiety and excitement about making a shift, doing something new, different, having high aspiration, drive, wanting to something more with their lives. And so that bonds people together and they become, so you'll often find MBA students bonding a lot, with their class and moving ahead in life. So those are some of those reasons. The first is to become more of a general manager and a leader. The second is to make a pivot. And the third is to build a strong set of relationships that last you for your life.
So, Pramath, before we continue, please just wanted to mention, I think some people are raising hands. We won't be able to unmute you. Please make sure you put your questions in the Q&A box and we'll answer as we go along. So, Pramath, traditionally then an MBA, which is maybe mostly 2-year program, I mean, is that something that in today's fast changing world, is it still completely relevant, or it depends on different people and their different sort of spaces in life when they decide which MBA or how to choose a management program? Is that how it works?
No, so I think an MBA is still very relevant. And if you can take 2 years off, in some cases a 1 year off and do an MBA, that's a great idea for all the reasons that we just talked about. But equally, for a lot of people, taking that kind of time off is not easy. They need the job, they're committed, they can't leave immediately. So in that case, the certificate programs, the online programs are much better and a great alternative. So you don't have to, you can do it as a part-time option. Number two, you can do it in a short period of time. So you do the basics and get going with that. If later on you still want to do an MBA or full MBA, you can do that. But in the meantime, at least you get going with your career. You get the core of what is required by an MBA. So that serves your purpose to get going. Third, it's convenient, right? You can do it from wherever you are. So you don't give up your job. You don't have to move. It's cheaper, and there's no opportunity cost of leaving a job, and it still serves your purpose. And if you still want to do an MBA because you so clearly want to spend more time, you can still do that. You don't kill your option of doing an MBA. Now, you might say that, well, then why do it? Well, you do it again for those reasons, that you're not sure whether you do have the opportunity, time, inclination to do a full-time program, give up a job or give up your whatever you're doing and move places. You will have to go to do it in a dedicated manner. And this is therefore a great alternative.
So I think we already have a question from someone. They wanted to know, how is this program better than an executive MBA?
I think it's not a question of better or worse. I didn't ever say that it is better. If you get a good executive MBA and can afford it and like to do it, go ahead and do it. I think because it's a program that we at Harappa offer and that I'm associated with it, the quality is pretty good. So I can say without sounding boastful that the quality of this program is truly outstanding compared to most executive online programs that are out there. So the quality of faculty, the quality of curriculum, the way we have curated it is truly outstanding. But it's comparable to other, it is like an executive MBA. It doesn't require, typical executive MBAs take a long time. Our number of teaching hours, the number of time commitment is much lower. And I think that if you're going to do something online, you can just do it quickly and get the basics rather than having to labor through a full MBA program. And do it in a high quality manner, which is what we offer. That's our contention. Now, if you still want to go and do executive MBA or MBA, again, like I said, it's absolutely a good option, and you should do it if you can.
So I'll take the next question also in a bit, but I just also wanted to understand, Pramath, when you compare it, so, when you brought in the ISP, you sort of, made that 2-year MBA into a 1-year. Now with the Harappa School of Leadership and the AMP program, it's 6 months. So really, if we were to sort of highlight 2 or 3 points on what really works in a short-term online certificate, I think you've already mentioned the quality of the faculty or this thing, but what else? What else would you?
I think two, three things we've done here, and sorry to interrupt you, but one is we've reduced the things that are not essential, right? What happens is that if you do an MBA or any master's program, if you have to do 1 year, 2 year, you have to fill it in with stuff to fill up the time. Not all of it is required. It's a little bit like calculus in school, right? We all study calculus. We study Einstein's theory of relativity. If you are you study Shakespeare and you study all these things, but you never really use it in your work, in your life, in your future education. Similarly, in a master's program, MBA program, there's a lot of stuff that you never really use. And so what we have done is we've reduced the load of learning these things when you don't need it. So we brought it down to the very focused core. What is it that you need? Number 2, we've added things that are missing typically from an MBA today. Product management, digital marketing, and data science. These are 3 hot subjects that every manager, every leader in any corporate role today needs. Not all of these are offered by all MBA programs. And I think in today's day and age, these have become mainstream and they need to be taught and learned by everyone, including you and me at our age. Number three, I have always believed, and you know this, and that is the basis of forming Harappa, that technical skills don't alone make you successful. There's a whole host of Harappa skills or Thrive skills that make you successful. These are the skills in thinking, problem solving, communicating, collaborating, and growing and leading yourself. And we at Harappa have pioneered the teaching and the learning of these skills through the online method in a high quality manner through our program. So that's a very essential element of this program, which, by the way, at the level at which we provide that, no other MBA program I can tell you provides that, because we believe that is what largely constitutes your success. That is what has constituted my own success in life. So by putting all these things together, we make this program very potent and very powerful. And I think it's absolutely the right product for people making a transition or wanting to learn the basics in a high quality manner in a short period of time.
And I think you also forgot to mention the fact that we have a layer of career services, where we sort of...
Yes, of course. I always assume as a given, but yes, to be able to tell your own story, to be able to position yourself, to have a right kind of resume, to learn how to do interviews, to how to even look for jobs and identify the right opportunities for yourself, which industry, to be mentored by experts who we provide for you. That is a big element of what we do, yes. So it's a very complete package.
Yeah, and also I think I'll add to what Pramath was saying. Essentially, leadership for us is a layer that runs throughout the 6 months. So it's not one little sort of piece that happens in 10 hours and finishes. Throughout the course, you get to understand different things about self-leadership, about performance, about understand critical thinking, about communication. A lot of it is also understanding how to communicate, not written, verbal, all of that. So I think that's a very, very unique part of the AMP course that we run. I'll quickly take this question, Pramath. This is from Anshulika. Have top consulting companies like BCG, McKinsey, do they value management certificates?
No, they don't. Top consulting firms have get to pick the best people. And so they go to the top MBA programs and pick the top students. And that's the very simple model. They don't even look at executive MBAs for that matter, or online MBAs for that matter. So if you want to be a true management consultant in one of these firms, then obviously you have to go to a top firm to get into them. Now, there's the McKinsey consulting part, which is the main consulting business. There's also the McKinsey research part and the Bain research part and so on. I think in those companies, in those parts of these companies, for research roles, for knowledge services roles, I do think that certification is also something that they will look at. It's not that they would disqualify or not value you for that. But in the consulting part, from what I know, having been at McKinsey myself, that I don't think they will value that. And part of it is because they want to get the top tier candidates who typically end up going to a full-time. McKinsey is your hiring partner. I don't know what it means to say that they are a hiring partner. I think we may have had some people who have been considered by McKinsey, and that's the McKinsey Knowledge Center, not the McKinsey consulting part. So that's why they may have been mentioned as the hiring partner. So yes, as I mentioned, it's not the main consulting part of McKinsey, but the knowledge center part of McKinsey that have been considering our graduates.
So, Pramath, there's another question here. I think it's about the cost. Can you please explain? Shashank, I think we can set up a call for you with our program advisory team, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you in more detail with this. I
think, Shashank, the cost is what it is because we invest heavily in our faculty. A lot of programs are relatively cheap and inexpensive online. But the reason they are that way is because they tend to be largely recorded videos and recorded lectures. For us, everything we do is live. We do provide recorded stuff, but we provide it for you to use on your own time and almost as a giveaway. Our big focus is on the live lectures that we do, and we get in some of the very best people in the industry to teach you. So good quality costs money, and that's all there is to it. There's no other explanation for these costs that we can give you. It's not like these are various parts broken down to various parts. So one lump sum cost. And yes, the cost of the career services, the mentoring, the coaching, the mock interviews, the preparation of your resume, the practice that we do with you, the commitment that we make to you to help you search for a job for yourself are all things that are expensive. They are high touch. So even though they are online, they are not, they are all in person and with a lot of time commitment from very high quality people.
So we have a question from Sheena, and Sheena wants to know, what is the one USP of the accelerated management program that I will have once I do this course? I can give you several, but I'll let Pramath pick his and then I'll pick mine.
I think it's really the confidence to be able to make a shift in your ability, in your career. The ability to do that, I think, is the so. That's the big USP for this program, that despite not having a full MBA or not being able to afford within quotes, whether in terms of time, cost, commitment, you still have something that gives you the confidence to go out and look for jobs which may be more aspirational for you compared to what you're doing. Many elements like the ones we've talked to go into that, but the biggest element is we being able to give you the confidence and be able to shape your story in a way that is compelling to the potential recruiter and helping you with that. That is the USP.
Yeah, and I think, like Pramath mentioned initially, the diversity of the cohort, you take that network with you. You also take away a lot of, I think this is something that we don't put value on, or we don't think that it's important, but actually to be able to prepare for the next job, the next role, the next sort of, path that you want to take in life. I think that the services that we have, in fact, Pramath today met someone who had walked in for a mock interview. So it was interesting because people, if you've not done this for 2-3 years, you've been in a job, suddenly to get into the job market or to sort of understand or tell your story in a way that you convince someone to take a bet on you, I think that's a real USP, and we do spend a lot of time and care and effort on that. So Pramath, before we go on, there is another question here from I think this is Harshit. Yes. He wants to know how different is the first-hand impression, specifically to a recruiter, of an online MBA and a regular MBA from a reputed institution. We have the question in the chat.
What is the first-hand impression?
So basically, he wants to know, how does a recruiter look at someone?
I don't know. I don't know if there is a difference in perception, because recruiter looks at the person, Harshit. So I think if you get to the stage where you've been shortlisted, did you say recruiter or an interviewer?
I think he put down recruiter.
Yeah. So yes, I think a recruiter would typically want to hire somebody who comes from a very reputed institution, or would like to shortlist somebody who at least is positioned as somebody who has the potential to succeed. So it really does come down to how the institution is positioning that person. If you if a placement office like our career services positions that person positively, then the recruiter is willing to look at them. Yes, traditionally people are used to certain institutions. So that's also true. They're used to going to certain institutions, and for new institutions, they want to be convinced whether they should look at such people or not. So I don't think it is online versus offline. A recruiter picks people from places where they have a general level of comfort that they've been able to recruit in the past. So it's really more old institutions versus new institutions rather than offline versus online.
I would also say that, it's also a little bit of mix of what your previous history, your work experience, your perhaps where you have done your graduation and other things. They also, all of those things are also sort of counted when a recruiter looks through a resume. So it's never just one thing or two things, It's oftentimes it's the role, how you fit into what they are asking for. So those are some of the things that they consider, but I'm sure, Pramath, you have a more deeper answer there.
No, I think ultimately the question is, who is able to place you in front of a recruiter and tell them a story or position you well on your behalf, which you wouldn't be able to do on your own. Right? That's the main question to ask. The thing about established MBA programs is that nobody will make an effort for you. Then you are kind of there with a horde of other people. At least what we do is make a lot of effort to give you a chance to position yourself. If you already are doing it, see, this is the whole point. I think if you have a chance to do a high quality full-time MBA, then you should go for it. And I've said that right in the beginning. So for me to say, no, don't do that, come here and I'll get you what the MBA, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying first and foremost, answer for yourself the question, are you getting into a top-notch MBA program? And do you have the wherewithal and the resources to do that? If you can, please go do that. That's my advice to you. Don't come here. Don't. But we are offering you an alternative. We are not a substitute. We are an alternative in case that's not an option to you. And that's often not an option to people because you have to be realistic about your chances. Are you good enough to get into a top MBA program? If you are not, and you don't think your chances are great because of whatever, you may have had a bad grade or you didn't get a good score or you can't leave your job, then this is a great alternative. That's the way to think about it. Okay, I'm not trying to convince you. I think Sheena is again asking the question, can I get an edge into core consulting? Hey, Sheena, if you want to go into core consulting and you are asking about McKinsey, BCG, you should go to an IIM or an ISB. You shouldn't be here. This is the wrong place for you. Yes, if you want to go and work in smaller consulting firms, we have people joining Sattva Consulting from being on this program. Then obviously you will have a chance. But if you want to go to McKinsey, Bain, BCG, and Accenture or places like that, then I cannot guarantee you that. That will be something that you will have to. We'll have to see whether you have the core capabilities or not.
Yeah, thank you, Sheena. I know you're in the process of interviewing with us, but sure, we believe you should make an informed choice on this thing. Okay, we have a question here coming in from Amit. Is there any screening criteria for the program? If not, why? Yes, we do have a screening criteria. We do speak to you. We have an interview process. We do encourage you to put in a application form. And we do have a fair bit of people. If we feel you don't fit into it or if what you are looking for is not what this program will offer, we do let you know about it. So I think that should answer the question there. There's a question here from someone who wants to know, why doesn't Harappa do this in a hybrid mode? If people can attend offline, then it would make a lot of sense to join this program. Also, it would be a choice for a candidate to do it offline as well as online.
Mm-hmm. It's a great idea. Maybe one day, but not right now.
Yeah, and also simply because, the faculty also come from different parts of the country, just like students do. And many of them do travel a lot and they do it. But we do offer twice in the program an opportunity to meet.
Technically, we are hybrid, but not in the way you are describing it.
Yeah. We do create opportunities for you to come and meet your cohort, to come and meet the program team, to meet Pramath, and in physically in Delhi. And sometimes, in fact, for both the last two cohorts, we do go to different cities like Bombay and Bangalore and try to get our cohorts together. So you do have an opportunity to meet, and it's not like it's completely online in that sense. I think that should answer your question.
Srinath, McKinsey and BCG and big names are always an option. So don't. It is, since Sheena is asking again, I just want to clarify that this certainly does not qualify you. It puts you on the path to a possible career that could get you there.
Okay, we have a question here now from Ravi, who wants to know, he says he did diploma in electrical engineering in 96.
Yeah.
Are there any special courses in sales and marketing? Not the MP is not a special course in sales and marketing, but we do have a large section which is related to marketing.
We have a large section on marketing. You will become a better salesperson after you do this course. So I don't think you need to be trained in sales that way. There will be enough for you to learn about how to sell. But it's really much more about marketing rather than sales.
Okay, so Pramath, when you were thinking of putting this program together, I mean, what was really the ambition, or what was really the desire? I mean, you've got a 1-year MBA program, you put that together, you have Ashoka, you have other things. Why not sort of create something that was already there in the market? I mean,
well, I'll be blunt about it, Seema. Not everybody gets into an ISB or an Ashoka or one of the top IMs. So that's one thing. I find that a lot of people, for whatever reason, and I don't think that means they are not bright or that they can't do well. By the way, I could not get into IIM when I was a young graduate, right? Because I didn't do well on the CAT exam. I'm not a big exam person. So I really struggled and I couldn't crack it. Now, what would I do? Similarly, that's why we set up ISB. Said, okay, if you're good enough and you can't go to an IIM in India and you don't want to go and spend lots of money abroad, you go to ISB. Now, even ISB has become limited, right? There's only 900 seats. It's very expensive. The government has opened 20 IIMs. Not everybody can get into IIM. They're the next tier institutions, which is, the SP Gen and the FMS and the XLRI and the Symbiosises of the world. It's tough to get into those also. So I think the demand for MBA education is very high in this country, and the number of institutions don't go beyond 30, 40 institutions of quality. I think we are providing a quality education that compares to the best experiences in terms of learning that I'm aware of that we can provide. Listen, we have people who've taught at Wharton and IIMs teaching on this program. So we are providing, of all the MBA online things out there, we have absolutely the best quality of people, bar none, and I wouldn't do anything less, right? So I do think that somewhere you have to understand that the reason behind creating this was, how can I get a quality experience even for people who cannot either make it or cannot afford to, for time, money, resources, commitments reason, to go to one of these top schools? That's the simple idea, if you ask me. We are giving you an alternative to experience something high quality. And that is what the experience of our first two cohorts has been, Seema, right? Everybody who's gone to the program loves it because of the quality of the experience. Every faculty member is high quality, every one of them, and right, and that's the way you build such programs. If you're going to do it online, you might as well provide the best faculty. Otherwise, don't do it, right? If you're selling the idea of convenience, the idea of convenience should also be sold with the idea of getting the very best faculty, because it's convenient to do that online. Like you said, faculty don't have to travel.
I think Sheena wants to know if there are any courses you teach. Yes, he does the leadership, a large chunk of the leadership program, which is the 30-hour, sorry.
Sheena, we paid you to ask these questions, right? That's why you are asking all these questions. You're getting paid per question.
Yeah. So yeah, that there's, and he does, and also of course a lot of
She's sending a bank detail. Yeah, no, I do teach, and I want to get to know the people in the class so that I can actually. I also get personally involved in their placements.
Okay, so
Hi Sharon, good to see you. Yeah.
I think Harshit still has one more question. If a recruiter sees your profile on Naukri, Harshit, I think a large part of profiles, etc., that go onto platforms like Naukri and all, resumes require something called ATS, which is, they require certain keywords, etc. So there's no physical sort of, oftentimes it's not a physical person sitting there. It's the machine that's sort of figuring out whether you fit a role and they sort of match you. So I think that's something, again, we could take this offline, and if you have more questions.
Honestly, Harshit, I don't know. I think robots and Naukris will take time to recognize Harappa, but over time they will. It's just like we are a new institution. So you may not get a huge advantage today, but you will get over a period of time as we establish our reputation. And I'm just being blunt and honest about this. There's nothing to hide. What sort of placements can we expect? What level of job roles? Shashank, it's hard to say what, because I don't know your background. It'll depend on where we get people who are freshers, we get people who have 15, 16, 17 years of experience. I think what we can try to do is help you make a shift. That's what we promise. We promise a switch, we promise a shift, and some appreciation in your salary, of course, right? That's what we like to do. I think people are more excited to come to this program to learn and to have the confidence that they can go on to do much bigger and greater and bigger things than they would otherwise have been able to do. All the people that we have placed so far from the first cohort are extremely happy with the opportunity that they got, because they would otherwise have not had that opportunity. Yeah, Seema.
So, Pramath, one of the things that, we have in our faculty, and that's something we've talked about, is something we have practitioners coming and teaching. And why did you sort of think of, why do you think, how does that play an important role in the learning and the teaching experience that we offer?
Listen, I think if you think about management and a lot of things that are taught in management, I have always felt that it's important to mix up academics and theory with practical and experience and expertise-based learning. This is true for law, this is true for medicine, this is true for design, this is true for many, many fields. Unfortunately, because business schools were generally housed inside universities, that even standalone business schools have ended up having academics doing all the teaching. If you go to a law school, a lot of lawyers teach in the law school. If you go to a design school, a lot of designers, actually practicing designers, teach in a design school. There's a lot of value that comes from learning from somebody who's actually done it, who's doing it. So I think that was the thinking that went into it. And I think one of the things that we haven't mentioned enough, Seema, on this call, on this webinar. And I think Seema asked about the USP before. One of the USPs is the importance that we place on practitioners. I'm not an academic, actually. I'm a practitioner who's teaching a leadership course. In fact, almost our entire leadership course is taught by practitioners and not by academics. I fundamentally feel that actually it's better done with people who've had leadership experiences. When people say leadership can't be taught, I don't agree with that. But when people say leadership can only be taught by academics, I disagree with that. And I think leadership should be taught by thoughtful practitioners, with sometimes academics coming in with their frameworks and with their. So I think that's the thinking behind bringing in what we call pracademics. These are practitioners with an academic bent. These are not just people giving gyan and telling stories, right? This is people who are thoughtful about how to pass on what they do and what they have learned and their skills to younger folks. And that's what's exciting about our, whether it's a Siddharth Menon or a Vibhor or a Tushar or all these guys, these are all people who have worked in the real world and are now teaching.
So I think we'd love to take questions from other people, and Sheena and Shashank, can I please request you to put your questions in the Q&A box? It becomes really tough to answer it on the chat, so please do that. Happy to take other questions
So Pradeep has a question.
Can you see it, Pratap?
Yeah, it says, does this program similar to senior management program, which is currently offered by? No, it's not the senior management program, Pradeep. I think it's much more equivalent to a regular MBA, not a senior management program. We have CXO programs that are different. We offer a CXO program for women, which will be online soon and so on. But this program is not the senior management program. This is much more like an abbreviated version of an executive MBA, but much richer and with much more practitioner input than a typical executive MBA.
Shashank, I think what would help is we'll have if your number is there, we'll make sure someone calls in.
I think Shashank's question I did answer.
Yeah,
I thought on the 2.75 lakh, Shashank, that it is what it is because it is an expensive program because of the quality of faculty, and it's mostly live. So live faculty of high quality and the level of mentoring, coaching, hand-holding that we do on the career services side costs money.
Okay, let's take this question from Trilochan. He wants to know, how can this program bring value to those working in the international development space?
Well, I think it'll certainly add to you in terms of your managerial skills, whether it is international or local or whether it is for profit or development. So we've actually had a lot of development professionals working with us. So you learn about the core of management, things like marketing, strategy, innovation. You learn about how to do data analysis. You learn about how to do marketing, digital marketing. Product management is really about innovation and designing new products, thinking about strategy and its implementation in a very new way that is also relevant to the development sector. So I think the leadership skills that we teach are very valuable in international development management as well. So I think every aspect of it would be very relevant to bring value to you. It gives you a more business-like perspective, a more enterprise-like perspective. It gives you a thinking perspective from an enterprise perspective. I've done a lot of development work, and I can tell you that a lot of the learnings from the world of management are very valuable, even in the development space. In fact, I've helped launch something called the Indian School of Development Management because I do think that development needs management. So you can knit what you learn in management here into the development work that you will do. Your international experience will be good because it will help to the class, but you will get a lot of national experience from our people. We do have 2-3 in our current cohort who are ardent. There's somebody who's building a very unique education program in Odisha in the local language, and is very successful as an entrepreneur. We have somebody who's working in the area of governance in rural India. Again, is part of our program. Both of them have found the program extremely valuable. For example, I still remember that the guy who's from Odisha has been taking Sushant has been taking all our frameworks and he's been applying it live in his work and coming back and sharing his successes mostly and some of his struggles at work by using those. So I think that we can easily connect you to those people if you are interested, you want to see. let's see. What is your favorite part of the program? Since Sheena has asked a question on the Q&A, we should reward her.
Sure.
This time we don't need to pay her. Uh, let's see. What is the sum? I think I'm really proud of how people have gained in confidence and how they've changed the way they think about themselves. I think I'm really proud of that. And I think that's the heart of any education program is, can you make people see themselves, position themselves, and sell themselves? It's transformative, right? It'll change your trajectory forever. And I think what people don't realize is that everybody evaluates this in what is the job I'm going to get? How much am I going to get? Which company am I going to go? What they don't realize is that your trajectory changes. You're now in a different orbit compared to other people. From the people you were working with or who are your peers, you've now gone into a different level because you talk about yourself differently, you present yourself differently, you have a confidence, a knowledge, a perspective that you didn't have before, and that you will never get from working in the same place or in different places for a long period of time. So that's what it does. It leapfrogs you. And that, to me, to see the change, the transformation that happens within a few months, even through an online program, has been, by the way, a revelation to me. I wasn't sure this would work, honestly. But what has been a revelation to me is how much it still works and how little you need to make that transformation happen.
So, Pramath, we have a question here from, I think it's Yudhvir Singh. He says, what should an old school manager with 36 years of experience in co-op business, large and small private school companies learn from ETSOL? It's a question in the chat. It was way above, I sort of missed it.
What should I know? The one from Yudhvir. No, I saw that. I was going to come to that. Whatever you didn't learn, Yudhvir. I think learning has no limits. And I think the fact is that, let's see, 36 years means you are probably about my age. And I haven't stopped learning yet. I'm still trying to scratch my head and figure out how ChatGPT is going to change my education business. And it's a big challenge. I'm still trying to figure out how to get you all convinced to do the ETSOL program at the AMP program at ETSOL. So I do think that you will learn a lot. I think the question is, what do you want to do with it? That's the more important question. And if you still feel that you have a few years left in you, that you want to do something different, something new, then you may get something more based on your 36 years of experience rather than the AMP at ETSOL. But when you do that, whatever you do, you will see a very big shift in your trajectory. And I think that will apply to you more, and you with your 36 years of experience have the maturity to know that, you're not going to see a fantastic jump because of this program, but you will see a shift in your trajectory even with the remaining part of your working life. You'll learn about leadership, you'll learn about problem solving in a structured manner, you'll learn about communicating, you'll learn about working with young people because you'll be in a class full of young people. And many such things that you would otherwise not get exposure to. So I think if you have a desire to learn, if you're curious, this is a great program for even somebody at your old school age. Okay. And in today's day and age, nothing is old. You're going to live to be a 90 or 100. So you're still a spring chicken by that standard.
Let me take this question from Pradeep. He's saying there is a huge demand for product managers or owners. Can this program be a stepping stone to product?
Yes, you've actually answered your question. It is a stepping stone. A lot of people come to this program and say, I want to become a product manager. Some people are saying, oh, I want to go into big consulting roles at McKinsey. Array, if I could do that, why would be I selling a program at 2.5 lakhs and get you a consulting role at McKinsey or get you straight into? I'm creating a pathway. I'm giving you a way to make that transition. It's the you know how in these railway lines you have a straight part and then somewhere there's a branch. I'm giving you that branch to go away. Whether you can successfully make that transition, I cannot guarantee. There'll be lots of things that will have to be completed. But yes, will I set you on that path? Will I give you a nudge? Will I push you off into that direction? Absolutely, we will. That's the whole point of the program.
Also, by the way, a lot of people who joined the first few cohorts wanted to, product management and all. But when you start learning and you start seeing all the other things, you also start realizing that perhaps product management is not something that you really want to do. Or you realize that, if you want to really step into it, then some of the other things that are taught in the program actually help you to get onto that path.
Yeah.
That's the important thing, because just if you go and learn a product management role in a online program, they'll only teach you that. But product management at the end of the day is a sum total of many other things, including economics, strategy, operations, so many other things that you require to be a good product manager, right, Pramath?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, product management has become this catch-all for everything. And we give you the full perspective, but your entry point may be from one place or the other.
So we have a question from Amrit, who says he's enrolled into the program. He's looking forward. His main motivation was to network with inspiring leaders. Well, you're hearing Pramath, so I hope that's inspiring. He's also looking to pivot from telecom pre-sales consulting to full-time consulting roles in McKinsey or Big Four. The option to work with startups is also something he's looking for.
I think the opportunities for startups is real. The opportunities for Big Fours or McKinsey is an aspirational, it's high. And I'll be just realistic. I don't know your profile. Everybody wants to work at McKinsey, even at people at ISB and IIMs don't get shortlisted for McKinsey. So it's a sink or swim there. Of course, we'll be happy to position you, get you to prepare for those. But obviously that one is a much bigger ask. It depends on your whole profile and performa. Honestly, it depends on what your GPA was in BTech and where you studied, right? I can't do anything about that. I can't. So I think all of those things matter when you aspire for those types of roles.
All right. I think there's a question from Sanjeev. I'm not really sure what Sanjeev wants to know. He says 25 years.
No, I think he's saying that he has 25 years of experience and wants to be a leadership coach. I think yes, from our leadership module, from our communication programs, our teamwork aspects, you learn a lot. You can practice your leadership coaching skills with the rest of your cohort. So you'll have a live lab that you can practice yourself on. And you will get to work with several mentors and coaches, which will also teach you. But we are not a coaching certification. Yeah. You should understand that. But I think a leadership coach, the more broader experience you have, the better leadership coach you will be. So in that sense, this will actually help you.
Yes, Sheena, I'm pretty sure there was some scholarship given, but we'll check and come back.
Now Sheena is getting to the point where she has to pay me to answer her questions.
Yeah. And we also look forward to having you with us, Sheena, if that works out. We're very, very excited. All right. And happy to see if there's any other question.
There is what's else?
We answered that. This was Amrit's question.
Sorry, you have to go. Yeah, great questions today.
Yeah, I know.
How might this program build internet? Oh, I got that. Yeah, I think Shashank, we didn't quite answer. He's saying that he was not really asking about he wanted clarity on placements from the point of view of it's a generalized management program and not for a particular domain. Hence my confusion in what sort of industry. But that's the point, Shashank. Because it's not domain, you can make a shift to multiple industries. You tell me what industry you are on, and I would say that you'll first make a likely transition into an adjacent industry or a similar industry, and maybe even to in either in one step or 2-3 steps, a shift to a very different industry. Now, what that will be, I don't know, because I can't predict. I think that it could be anything, and it would depend on where you are starting out.
Absolutely. Okay, we have a question from Akshay, and he wants to understand the opportunities to build a network with the startup ecosystem as he's building a product in an edtech domain.
Yeah, we can connect you to the startup ecosystem, no problem.
By the way, we do have some, in fact, both the cohorts had people who were with edtech.
Yes.
But they run their own edtech startup. We talked about Sushant, who's running his own sort of this thing. We have another person, 2 or 3 people who in both cohorts who were running edtech startups or were working in that domain. Yes, we do have a managing self, and that's the part that Pramath teaches, Sheena, and that's really the leadership modules where we do have some really exciting frameworks, which I personally have, used, and I'm sure
we should charge Sheena extra for that module.
No scholarship. Okay. All right. I think we're almost at time. If there's any other question, we'd be happy to answer. The Accelerated Management Program, the 3rd cohort, we're very, very proud of the fact that we are at our 3rd cohort, starts in May. And we have our program advisors. If you would like to speak to anyone and sort of get more information, please do reach out to the website, or we've put in our email IDs, etc. We're happy to answer any questions regarding what the course contains, who the faculty are, what you can expect, etc. Pramath, any last words?
No, I think thank you so much, everyone, for being so engaged and asking so many questions and being so curious and engaged about the program. I think that I'm really excited about the next cohort. We are learning a lot. We are doing better with each cohort. And I'm excited to see you all in class. So please do join us, and please spread the word. And instead of us having to spread the word by paying Facebook and Google, maybe you can help us just spread the word with your friends and people who you think could be interested and benefit from this program. And thank you again for joining us. Look forward to seeing you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.